Hi, so Meg back again. Here's another entry into our Where Are They Now series. And I'm happy to introduce Brian Wilson from New York. There he is.
Hey there.
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Cool, very good. Brian, I've known you since you were a little wee tyke.
That is true.
And your mom, Diane Wilson, is one of the founders of the Maskers.
Yeah.
So it was natural that you would go into performing arts.
Oh, I grew up in the theater. I grew up in the Maskers. The Maskers was my second home.
Yeah. Do you remember how old you were when you did your first show?
So it was the very first show that the Maskers ever did.
Oh, wow.
It was the Mummers play.
Yeah.
So before we had a theater, we would travel around to like barns and little Grange halls here and there, and Union, and this public space, and that church, and this and that. And we had a show that we did. It was St. George and the Dragon.
Yeah.
And Matt Bixby was the like prince or something like that.
Yeah.
My mom was the princess. She had made a wig out of ribbon. It was a red ribbon wig, and I remember this so vividly.
Yeah.
It was just a wild wig of curling ribbon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she still has it, but I bet she does. Knowing my mom, she has it in a closet somewhere.
Very cool. So how old were you when you started?
Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't answer the question. I think I was 5.
Yeah.
That seems about right. I think it was somewhere like 1984.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. So do you have a favorite masker memory?
Oh,
all the stuff you did?
I have tons of Maskers memories. I mean, I guess my favorite role that I ever did in the Maskers as a kid was Tom Sawyer.
Oh, it's funny you should say that.
I had a blast.
I want to show something here.
Oh my God.
So you and
Electa Barons and Nate Stump.
Yep. Look at that little face.
Wow.
I love it. Yeah, I have one more.
Wow. Yeah.
There you are.
That was Tom Sawyer.
I remember that show very well.
Yeah, my mom painted that set.
Yeah.
I remember sitting on the stage and helping with the painting, though not a ton. She basically did the majority of that.
Yeah. Wow.
It was like a big cartoon book. It looked like a big cartoon. It was very cool.
Yeah. All right. So since you left Belfast and went to New York, just kind of catch us up on what you've been doing professionally, theatrically, both, whatever.
So I went to the Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts in New York after I went to music school at USM.
Mm-hmm.
I was a triple major at USM, music ed, music performance, and theater. Took me 5 years instead of 4.
Yeah.
But in New York, I co-ran a children's theater for like 3 years. That was just before the housing collapse, and we lost our lease, and it was a big show. It was a mess, but I've done touring. I did touring in musical theater. I've done off-Broadway. I did worked in student films. I wrote some films. I did some shorts. I did a few small roles in some features. When I got out of touring several years ago, really didn't like the touring life.
Oh, yeah.
It was very, very lonely. It's
Mhm.
counterintuitive to some people really love it. Some people really love touring.
Mhm.
I really did not. Um, and I don't know if people know, but I have an illness.
Mhm.
And the illness really got in the way of touring. I had to come back to New York often to get my treatments, and it caused a financial difficulty that was
Sure.
very hard to overcome. It was very hard to get into doing shows like Broadway shows and things without doing the touring. It's kind of like everybody has to pay their
I
dues.
see.
And I found that it just wasn't working. So I started teaching. I taught music for a little while in the Bronx,
Mhm.
at an elementary school. I then started working per diem with them, doing subbing and teaching some theater workshops and things like that. While I was doing that, I was renovating my property here that I bought in the Bronx,
Mhm.
which is now a community house. We have lots of awesome people that live here. Um, and I've continued doing while I was doing that, I've been writing a television series that I was trying to get off the ground, and it's been a lot of things. I have a lot of different projects that I'm currently trying to get going, including tiny van concerts.
Mm. Mm.
So tiny van concerts is in beta phase. You can go online and check it out if you want. Um, we were planning on going to the festival circuit this year. I have another property upstate
Mhm.
that has a music studio and a sound stage that we did concerts prior to COVID.
Nice.
Um, but that has shifted. I'm currently working on a project creating a theater space where I can do live streaming concerts at an undisclosed location.
Okay. I won't.
Um, no.
So how's your health now, Brian?
It's actually really good. It's been a really, really long battle. There was definitely a period of time where it was looking like I was not going to make it when I first got sick. Um, and then it became the long battle of trying to stay well, because the answer was this treatment that was very, very expensive,
Mm.
and that that made working in the arts very difficult,
Yeah.
to say the least. But I made it,
Good.
and I did a lot of alternative things, like, looking at my diet and acupuncture and meditation.
Mhm.
Meditation really, really was a big key. Um, I would encourage everybody to get into meditation, because if it
Yeah.
helps me, it can only help anybody else. I tell you. Um, but I feel very, very healthy. I still have the treatments every 8 weeks,
Mhm.
and that will probably continue for the indefinite future.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I've been trying to. The Tiny Van Concerts is a roving recording studio, and the plan had been to go to the festival circuit this year. We were in, we were like all set to go to South by Southwest this year.
Mhm.
In fact, we had 25 bands lined up,
Wow.
and arrangements with food trucks to create a pop-up venue.
Mhm.
And we were going to do basically, um, I don't know if you've ever been to South by
I
Southwest.
have not.
But South by Southwest is a grassroots festival that is still 60% non-affiliated with the Pepsi Cola presents.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And all that stuff, and the whole town shuts down.
Wow.
Austin becomes a walking city entirely, and so there's a ton of foot traffic. And we had a really nice location. My partner in this, he was going to be working the main stage. He had gotten approved at. He's an amazing musician as well, and he had gotten approved to be one of the people working on the sound and with the bands. And so we were going to kind of like, I was going to run the tiny band, and he was going to like be working the stage and like telling the B-listers what was going on and like trying to get the hobnob going. We literally, so when they canceled South by Southwest, it was before, it was like they were taking precaution before we knew really what was going on. But because South by Southwest is a grassroots festival and 60% of the venues are non-affiliated, it means all the restaurants, I mean, this is their bread and butter for the whole year. Like, this is their big moneymaker. So a lot of the places were still going strong. Like, they're like, okay, well, the official stuff is not happening, but we're still having our bands. And all 25 bands that we had listed immediately called us and said they're still in.
Oh.
So we, at that point, we're like, okay, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be we're gonna fly by the seat of our pants. And so as time is ticking closer and closer, it's like, oh, is this the right move? Or I don't know what to do. But we'd already invested a lot of money in converting the band and planning the trip. So we decided we're going to go. We left Friday night Saturday morning, and drove all through the day and all through the day on Sunday. The van had like a raised bed in the top of the cab, so that one of us would sleep and the other one would drive. And we were headed down there, and like, that's when all the hit the fan. I mean, literally the news was like blowing up, and we were like, are we going in the right direction or what? And we're like, well, we're gonna be isolated, just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were thinking, we'll be careful. And again, the extent of this was we still really didn't quite comprehend what was going to happen. So we got to Austin, and we did like the first couple of artists. We had a rapper, we had a R&B singer, we had a few bands during the week, but most people started to just cancel, and the town was just void. It was like South by Southwest never existed. It was so strange. And the bands and musicians, there were a lot of people there. So we were camping in this field at a farm. And so we felt very isolated. But there were other musicians and such that had come, and everybody's just wandering around like, what are we supposed to do? It was very, very strange, but we managed to get some recordings, which are up on the beta version of the site.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to try to relaunch in September, and try to do it and focus on the live streaming.
Right.
So when we were there on the way, we kind of like made a couple of audibles. We're like, okay, well, we're going to focus on not having crowds. We're not going to have anybody come to these concerts. We're just going to do videos and live stream of the musicians, which we did. but the numbers, the crazy thing was, we were the most prolific venue at South by Southwest this year, because no one else was doing anything.
Right. We would be number one.
Kind of a crazy thing to be able to say. We were the most prolific venue in South by Southwest.
Yeah, we'll use that in your advertising. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think you know the answer to this next question, but I'll ask you anyway. So how did your involvement with the Maskers kind of affect your future? You've had a wide range of profession work, acting, producing, teaching. How were the Maskers part of that?
Oh, I would say that they were an integral part. Hold on, I'm going to take a little drink here. Wet my whistle. I would say that without having grown up in the theater, I don't know what I would have been. I definitely would say it shaped. I watched up until I was 18. I watched every single show of every single show that played at the Maskers. So like I was there at every night. And it, whether I was in the green room or in the lighting booth or backstage working the show or just watching the shows. I learned so much about theater. The Maskers has always had an incredible mission of delivering quality theater, and not just like a kid's show here and there. And I say I mentioned my memory of Tom Sawyer, but I was in other things as I grew up. And I watched shows like Middle-Aged White Guys.
Yeah.
Like these are the kind, like shows like this, a lot of people, and one of my goals in my career is to try to bring the arts to places in America where the arts are so non-existent. And that's kind of what I'm doing with Tiny Band. But most importantly, I was exposed to all elements of theater from 5 years old.
Right.
And so how it shaped my future and present, I would say that what I'm doing right now is directly relative to what I experienced in my youth.
Great.
In the Maskers.
Yeah. That's what, it was always Basil's hope, I believe.
I love that man.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Amazing.
Me too. I think, part of it was he wanted, even if someone didn't go into the arts, that the Maskers itself helped bring something out of each of the people that were involved. That would, especially the kids, that it would directly affect whatever they did in the future. The confidence and the projection and, self-esteem and all of that. And I think, we're still trying to do that. So
I think that the try is what theater is about.
Right.
It's all, everybody says do, don't try, do. But theater is trying.
Trying, yeah.
You fail a lot.
Yeah. What about so do you have any advice from your long career for people who do want to go into the performing arts?
Sure. I advice is cheap. I would say first and foremost, don't go into the arts unless it's the only thing that you imagine yourself doing. It is, a lot of young people have a very glorified view of what living as an artist is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard. It is not an easy life. And it is one that, unless you're there because it was your choice and you knew that it's the only thing that you could do, not that you're not capable of doing other things, but that you would not be happy doing anything else.
It's exactly what Heather said. You know, she's on the West Coast, but that's exactly what she said. That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. The other bit of advice would be take business classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things that I found very lacking in my training, I spent so much money and time learning the skills of performing and learning how to teach others those skills. But I never really learned how to be a businessman. And surviving in the arts as an actor or anybody doing this kind of thing, you are much more a businessman than you are an actor. You can be a actor, and you can make it if you're a really good businessman. That is just something I've learned now, and that's why there's so many talented people that don't make it, because it's just not something that you think about until you're doing this thing and you're like, I have no idea how to market, how to make a business, because that's what you are. When you are an actor, you're a business for yourself. And I mean, I learned later, but I wish that somebody had told me to do that. In fact, I would say that learning the skills of acting are almost secondary to learning business.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know. That's my own experience, but that's also coming from someone that grew up in the theater and was surrounded by learning all their life.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, I imagine you need that too.
Right. That is important. Yeah. Yeah.
You need the skills. You definitely need the skills, and they are skills. You know, you can be talented, but there are tricks. There are skills that you learn in school that are worth learning, because just being talented is not enough.
Makes sense.
All right.
I wish you all the luck in the world, Brian. You know that. Your family.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been great. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Oh.
Makes me feel so special.
You are special. There's been an awful lot of people go through the theater, and again, it isn't always just, okay, now they're going to have a professional career, you know, as an actor or a musician. But, you know, there's been a lot of people that I think the Maskers have affected that way.
Oh, absolutely. And I would add this. While not everybody goes into the arts and not everybody wants to be a professional actor, there's an importance to art education and the arts, music and theater. It's the in-between our language. You know, words only go so far. The arts is what allows us to realize that we all have the same desires, passions, needs. And I believe fully that art education is an answer to a lot of problems. And I think that the lack of it is directly responsible for a lot of the situations that we are in.
Me too. I believe the same thing. It's very important.
So the mission is not just to create artists. The mission is to release the artist in everyone.
Yeah. And tech theater. We're going to be talking with a young lady. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but the young lady who's professionally, she's a lighting designer.
Oh, wonderful.
And she has a huge history with the Maskers. So, yeah.
That's a huge thing now with the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting is so crazy now. It's not what it used to be.
Right.
There are so many things, programs, computer. I mean, it is definitely not in my wheelhouse. But it is a definitely awesome thing. If you're a techie person, it is a field, and there's a lot of work in it. There's a lot of work if we weren't in COVID.
Yep. All right, Brian.
All right, I'll see you.
Thank you so much for doing this, and I look forward to hearing from you again. And stay well, stay safe.
Thank you. You too. You look great.
Oh, thanks. See ya.
All right.
Bye.